Thank you for sending the invitation to conference back. I just want to make sure that you understand we're here to talk about Cameron's education and her needs as a student. And so this meeting is just to focus on that. So thank you for sending that back and for being here today. I'll go ahead and give you the Parents' Rights Handbook. We'll go over the main highlights of this book, but I do encourage for you to go back through and read this when you have time.
And is this mine to keep?
Yes, that is yours to keep. If you ever need another copy, let me know. And we'll just go ahead and start off on page 1. This just explains parental consent. You have to give your consent as a parent of Cameron for any evaluation that we do, and also to start the process for seeing if Cameron needs special education. So that just goes more into explaining about that. Prior written consent is needed on our part to give to you if at any time we change any kind of educational setting or procedure for Cameron during their education at all that we provide. So we will give written consent to you, so then you know that that's happening. If you choose that our educational evaluations are not okay for Cameron, you do have the option of going to an independent evaluation testing site, and this just explains the cost and everything to you. The access of records, you are able to access Cameron's records at all times. You are not limited to any of that information, and this just explains how you can go about receiving those documents.
Can you tell me, what is the in other words column?
This is just so then if you have any questions about what the phrases in this document means, this is a lot of legal terminology, and this kind of just puts it in a simpler form so then we can just understand it for our everyday use.
Okay.
So this is both for you and for myself too. Looking at section 5, the requirements for this just explains how if you choose to go to a private school setting, you can do that, and then this talks about the cost and who would be paying for that. Basically, if you feel that we cannot provide an appropriate setting for your child, you can do that, and the cost depends on if we're actually able to provide an appropriate setting for your child. We do have mediation available for you. That is at the cost of the LEA rep, who is Carlson Palmer, and so that'll all be taken care of if we need someone to mediate in between both groups. This talks about state complaint procedures, and then if you go on to the next section, on page 12, it talks about the difference between state complaint and also due process. State complaint is for any individual organization, and due process is more what you would be a part of. This is for the parents to file, and also the LEA rep is able to file one as well. And this goes on and just talks about that procedure.
What would I need to file due process for?
If you weren't happy with the placement of Cameron for their education, that's when you would really use the due process. And during that time of having a due process, we have a stay put provision, which means that Cameron would be staying in their original special education setting. And so their education isn't changed during the process until we reach an agreement. So this goes on to the hearings of the due process, and then if you weren't happy with the decision made, you would be able to make this then on a state level. This goes on to the civil actions, and furthermore into the legal aspects of this, and also the attorney's fee, who would be paying for that. Disciplinary procedures talks about how if Cameron did become in trouble with the school or with our procedures or anything, they would not be allowed to be out of school for more than 10 days in a row or 10 days at all out of their education setting. On the 11th day, we would provide the education services for the child.
Now, if Cameron did get in trouble or something, could she be referred to the police?
Yes, she could, depending on the actions that take place and depending on if it goes against the school conduct, she would be able to be referred to police. Okay, so just going right along in here. The next part that I would like to point out to you is that in the back of this handbook, it talks about the acronyms, the definitions, and then the information.
Okay.
In case you have any questions about what anything means in here. And all the numbers that you need are also in the book too. So, do you have any questions about the parents' right booklet?
No, actually
Okay.
I don't. Thank you though.
Great, well we'll move on to the